coming up on today's show, Nissan in the UK have written to all their customers about the software update. I've got the letter for you coming soon. Hyundai Kona electric pricing is revealed for the US. A brand new Renault Clio, what does it mean for the Zoe? And are Tesla vehicles already being shipped with new Autopilot? Those stories and many more on today's EV News Daily. Good morning, good afternoon and good evening wherever you are in the world. Welcome along to the show, Tuesday 29th of January with Martyn Lee. I've been through every story I can find today online and picked out only the very best ones to save you time that you need to know about. Hey, thanks a lot to myev.com for making this show. You know they are the world's first marketplace about buying and selling EVs, and if you're anything like me, sometimes a little cynical about things that you find online, occasionally I think, what's the catch? Well, with this website, there's no catch. It's totally free. It's a free marketplace that really simplifies buying and selling EVs, and you can learn about them along the way. USA only. Boy, oh boy, I would kill for something like that here in the UK. Check out myev.com. So we've got this letter then from the Nissan Leaf department that's looking after the software update. A software update letter has been sent to, as far as I know, everybody who owns the 40 kilowatt hour Nissan Leaf who has previously made contact with Nissan. I would love to know from you, by the way, if you listen to the podcast and you've never contacted them about so-called rapid gate. In other words, the second or third or fourth rapid charge of a day when the battery gets very hot and the throttling to look after the battery. So if you have had this letter, you'll have seen this already. If not, let me read it to you. This was sent to me by a few people who listen to the podcast. First through was James that sent me this letter. This says, and I quote, "Thank you for your continued patience whilst I've been investigating this for you. I have confirmed that as of today, we have finalised and released a bulletin to our dealership network with instructions on how to complete a software update for the Nissan Leaf. The software developed will ensure the maximisation of the quick charge performance whilst also ensuring the ongoing protection of the battery. The software has now been rolled out to all of our Nissan franchise dealerships within the UK and can now be applied to all suitable vehicles. If you'd like to make contact with your local Nissan dealership, they'll be able to book your vehicle in to have this software applied. If you have any questions or need any help in getting your vehicle booked, please do not hesitate to contact me. Kind regards, Amber." I gather that this, maybe it was a mail merge from Amber at Nissan, because it seems to have gone to a few people today who forwarded it on to me. Hi to Joseph, who says this in a private message to me, but he says, please read this out, so it's, I know I can. He said it is presumably the 5SH2A to the 5SH2C update. I called my local dealership and they confirmed they have received the bulletin, but their system has not yet received the software for the update. But this is likely to happen in the next day or so. If you have a Nissan Leaf that is affected by this, and I haven't got the exact dates in front of me, it was after kind of May time last year that the update was applied to new cars, but if your car is in the window and there's now a bulletin on it and you can get it back to the dealership for Nissan, and they are under instruction to do that. There was some confusion a few weeks ago when this was first reported, and I first saw it on a Bjorn Nyland video, but I gather it was reported even earlier than that from people that have said to me, hey, you give the credit to Bjorn, but actually it was someone else. So whoever first reported the fix that was out there, then the early approaches to Nissan dealers, naturally people were not rebuffed, but were told, no, we haven't got an update, which I guess is, that is the truth. It's the honest truth, isn't it? We don't have an update. Whereas people went away and then went online and went, I'm being refused the update. And, with a little bit of time, some patience, with very clear communication has now come from Nissan here in the UK that bulletin's gone out. You can get the software update if your car is applicable. As I mentioned previously on this podcast, if you're in North America, you don't get it. And you don't get it. The justification they're giving is they have the data on how people use their cars, and people don't do long journeys and multiple rapid charging, which seems weird to me. It's a bit like saying, my house is on fire, I'm going to call the fire brigade, and someone says, well, there's no need because there's nothing inside your house of any value anyway, so let it burn down. I'd quite like to put the fire out if possible, because there is a fix for this problem, but Nissan in North America say, It's not a problem. If anything, it's a feature. We throttle the charging speed. It's a feature of your car. Be grateful to have it. Here in the UK and Europe, different situation. That fix is now available. It's be done, of course, free of charge. And you can then, if you are doing lots of long journeys and using the Nissan Leaf's extended range, 40 kilowatt hour battery, and you do several rapid charges in a row, hopefully it means faster charge speeds, get to your destination quicker, and still no degradation on the battery. Let me know if you have had it done, if you are affected, if you want to share something with me. You can always, my DMs are open on Twitter, by the way. You can email me anytime. hello@evnewsdaily.com. A car that's getting loads of attention at the moment is the Hyundai Kona, and the Kona Electric has got its pricing in the US, and this infuriates me still. In a global world, there are still car dealers, car makers, who have different names for the different specs of their cars around the world. There are some companies like Apple and Tesla, they call their product the product, and that's what it is anywhere in the world. We live in a global, instant, 24/7 world now. And yet in America, so in North America, if you're buying the Hyundai Kona Electric, the spec that you need to look for is the SEL, or the Limited, or the Ultimate. Now that'll be different to elsewhere in the world, where they're three different specs, get different names. But anyway, if you're in the US, so if you are going to buy the SEL trim, that is going to be $36,450. That's equivalent to the Bolt, if I think. Again, we can't buy the Bolt here, so correct me. The Limited, which is $41,150, and the Ultimate, that's the one with cooled seats and a head-up display, comes at $44,650. $1,000. Of course, you can still get your full federal tax credit, which isn't, always worth reminding people outside the US who don't know. It's not money off the car. You pay the sticker price for the car, but it's money off next year's tax bill. So you get the money back, but you have to wait for it. So you're out of pocket for a period of time. So I'll put the Inside EVs article in the show notes if you want to read more about that. By the way, what do you think of the pricing? It seems, first impressions to me, a little bit steep. Hyundai could, they are a budget brand, like it or not. They've done amazing things over the last 10, 15 years of improving their brand image and quality, but it's still a budget brand, really, when you think about it, and not budget prices. And so people will say, well, you should get the Tesla Model 3, and then other people will say, yes, but you can't get the standard range Model 3 yet, and it will do fewer miles of the Hyundai Kona. With this is, of course, all the prices, the 64 kilowatt hour battery, the only one you can buy in the US. The specs, I'm really confused about. I've been through the PDF, I've been through the website. I'm super into this and it confuses me, so I really worry about kind of the average person walking into a Hyundai dealer and saying, oh, what do I get? So, because I'm a little confused. The weirdness is the difference in specs around the world. So, if you have any inside knowledge on this, please message me, please straighten my brain out on this. It doesn't come with the heat pump, which you get in Europe and Canada, I think, as well. It doesn't come with a degree of thermal management on the battery. I think it's the battery heating in order to enable faster charge speeds, or is that the other? Have I got it the wrong way around? No, it's not battery cooling, it comes with that. But different to what you get in other parts of the world. Again, it seems strange to my tiny, tiny brain why you wouldn't make a car in a factory in South Korea, and then it's either left-hand drive or right-hand drive, but then you sell it somewhere in the world. But that's why I'm doing this, not making cars. So if you can help me out with explaining why the US gets this different, it gets fewer features as far as my brain can understand that, that's not fair. And that's not a cheap price. So why would European spec and even Canadian spec cars be better if indeed you think coming with a heat pump is better, but otherwise take money off the car anyway? It's not like you're saving a ton of money, or weight and things like that, which increases range. Anyway, there's also issues around lane keep assist and lane follow assist. I think lane keeping assist is where it'll bounce you between the white lines. Lane follow assist is more like Autopilot. It's more like Nissan's system where it will follow curves in the road. It'll self-drive for a period of time before nagging you to put your hands on the wheel. Of course, your hands should always be on the wheel when you are letting the car do the heavy lifting. I think it's that one. It's the more lane follow assist, which, as far as I know, again from this darned explanation of me trying to work it out doesn't come in the US. You only get the basic lane keep assist, and some people are saying, oh, well, you know, in lawsuit crazy America. I don't know if that's true. People are taking legal action against Tesla, for instance, but we won't go into that. But, you know, for a handful of cases, even if that many. Again, if you can help me out, straighten my brain out, I'd love to get your thoughts on this. You can always comment on any story, and I'll pass it on to the rest of the listeners. You can email me, hello@evnewsdaily.com. Why would the US get a worse car than here in Europe? Now, talking about cars coming to Europe being slightly better, this one is actually a really interesting story. Staying with Inside EVs, the YouTuber Eric Strait is wrapped up in all sorts of Tesla-related business. One of his tasks tracks Tesla's inventory with the help of his friend David. He discovered the Tesla Autopilot 2 update way ahead of its official launch. Reports and writes Stephen Loveday. According to Eric and David, they claim that they have spotted early indications that Tesla's Autopilot 3, which is really Autopilot 4 when you think about it, is on the way. Now, Eric and David believe the feature may be shipping on cars already, even the cars that aren't delivered yet, the cars that are being shipped. They've stumbled across some code for Autopilot 4, or AP4, which they believe applies to the upcoming technology bump. The feature, they believe, uses additional hardware, and this additional hardware will eventually work to provide the full self-driving features. The timing makes sense, as Tesla could assure that the new hardware and update is present in vehicles that are currently on ships heading towards Europe. Additionally, their earnings call is only a couple of days away. A big announcement would be advantageous for their share price. I'll put a link to the Inside EVs article in the show notes. Okay, right, moving on to Renault, and this is super interesting. The Renault Zoe, the car that is sitting a few metres away from me outside the little home studio that I have. The Renault Zoe is based on the Renault Clio, and the Clio is about to get a big update. So, is this what the new Renault Zoe, again, which is a very well-selling car here in Europe, is going to look like inside? The 5th generation Clio with the Super Mini's exterior design due to be unveiled tomorrow. The interior was today, says Rachel Burgess of Autocar. The Clio is going to distinguish itself from its rivals by being big on technology. It's going to have, when it gets shown off at the Geneva Motor Show, it's going to have a big 10-inch almost 10-inch portrait touchscreen, inspired by that of the much larger and pricier Renault Espace. There's also a 10-inch digital instrument binnacle that displays sat-nav instructions. Last year, the Renault boss Carlos Ghosn announced that the French carmaker is going to launch 8 EVs in the next 5 years alone. However, a fully electric version of the Clio won't happen. That's because Renault executives, one of the reasons is they're worried that it would steal sales from the Zoe. Now, the Zoe's built on the Clio platform. The Zoe was the best-selling electric car in Europe in 2017, and the Zoe, which currently is maybe a little long in the tooth. I mean, it's a great little city car for very, very little money. The charging is AC only at the moment, and most of them are 22 kilowatts. So you can get some quicker ones, but it's going to get an update very soon. Again, shown off at Geneva, and people would think it's going to come with DCS combo plug and some new features like a picture that was on the Renault Zoe Owners Club Facebook group had a photo on there yesterday, with its camouflage and disguise on, but you can clearly see the adaptive cruise control, sort of black, it's not radar, is it, but the little plastic bit that sits near where your registration plate would go. That's for the adaptive cruise, and lots of other nice little added bonuses, LED headlights and things, and so that you can pick out details from this. So, will the new Clio inside look like the Renault is going to look, in which case you get a lot of tech in a very cheap EV, and a big, big screen as well for not a huge amount of money. Like I say, ours was a 2-year-old Renault Zoe that we bought last year for £5,900. Not the most, yes, we leased the battery, but not the most amount of money to go EVing. Well, Porsche Cars of North America announced today a really big announcement, and it just goes to show how much is going on today when this is already so far, over 10 minutes into the podcast. A new agreement with Electrify America. They're going to provide the all-new Porsche Taycan with 3 years of free charging at Electrify America public stations across the US. The charging benefit is going to be included in the price of the Taycan. In addition, Porsche US dealers are going to put their own fast charge kiosks in. It's going to offer home charging as well. Taken together, the three components make up what they call a comprehensive network for the Taycan. Clearly, Porsche are looking to do their own equivalent of Tesla's supercharging network without building their own stalls, but doing a deal with Electrify America. And why not? Electrify America highway and metro stations and many Porsche dealers are going to be offering DC fast charging up to 350 kilowatts using this new 800-volt technology and the combined charging system, the CCS plug. The Taycan can add 60 miles of range in just 4 minutes. That's the fastest of any road car on the market when it finally hits the roads. Taycan buyers will receive 3 years of unlimited 30-minute charge sessions at Electrify America locations, comprised of more than 300 highway stations in 42 states, as well as more than 180 sites in metro areas, 17 metro areas actually. Each location has about 5 chargers, and some have as many as 10. With Electrify America highway stations will have a minimum of 2 fast, like ultra fast chargers, the kind of the high-powered ones, the 350 kilowatt chargers, a minimum of 2 per site. Additional chargers will be there delivering 150 kilowatts, and the highway stations are going to be spaced along multiple routes, no more than 120 miles apart. Nationally, the distance between highway stations, the average is about 70 actually for Electrify America. Well, charging dispensers at the metro locations, they're going to be the 150 kilowatt chargers as well. I'll put a link to that press release that I was sent from Porsche in the show notes. Right, 2 more stories to go, and let's talk about industrial equipment. Norway's Pond Equipment joins hands with Caterpillar, and they're electrifying a digger, their Cat digger. The electric excavator is doing its testing at the moment. It's going to show more at a fair later this year in May. It says Electrify, codenamed the Z-Line for zero emissions, or the Z-Line, depending on where you're listening. This version of the excavator is a 25-ton machine, and it's all electric. While the machine looks like a regular Cat excavator, it's got some green stickers. It shows off that it's an eco option. It's got no air filter, no exhaust. Inside, though, the entire engine's been replaced with the motor, the controllers, and some big heavy-duty batteries. But hey, all of those excavators have to have ballast anyway, so why not make the ballast your really big lithium-ion batteries? Large enough for 5 to 7 hours of operation. It charges quickly. You can do fast charging as well, up to 1,000 volts if you've got a pretty hefty power supply coming into your building site. Well, it took the Pond engineers 11 months to electrify the heavy-duty machine, during which time they worked closely with Caterpillar. They made adjustments to the software and some to the excavator itself. This is such an important part of electrifying all of the different things that we do day to day to burn fossils, and one of those is on construction sites. It's the air quality on construction sites for the guys and girls that are working on those construction sites. They deserve to breathe clean air, but some of the dirtiest machines are those which are pumping out stinky diesel fumes. And of course, the noise pollution is a huge thing. Often it limits how many hours a day you can do construction work for. Electrifying all of your equipment will surely mean you can work longer hours, you can be more efficient, and local residents won't be reason to complain because they won't be able to hear them. I'll put a link to Electrify in the show notes. Right, final story today, and a little mention once again for car sharing. You know, it's such an important way for people to get an experience of an electric car. The UK's leading low-emissions car-sharing club has reaffirmed the suitability of the Renault Zoe, little city car, for its growing operation. Europe Car is its parent company, Europe Car Mobility, and it's got another 85 of them on order. eCar Club is the name of it, ecarclub.co.uk. They've taken a number of units, supporting their expansion across the UK from East London to Scotland. Through the innovative scheme, eCar Club provides the public, they say, with a low-cost, hassle-free, zero emissions way of sharing a car. £4.50 an hour for the Renault Zoe, and you get all the power, and you get insurance. Now, the majority of their newly acquired Renault Zoes, they're the big battery one, the 40 kilowatt hour battery. It's going to be used for a brand new scheme in North Solihull, which sees the popular EV available to members at 9 locations. Local drivers can hire one of these Zoes. You can tell them because they've got their distinctive wrapping all around, like their eco livery. You can do it online. It's self-service. You can make the booking via the app, the website, and it's a great way. It's a great way for people to get experience of an EV and that fun of electric motoring as well, and dispel some of the myths, especially if you have a go in one and you realise they're not milk floats, and you go, "This is nice. I'll buy one myself." Right, moving on to our question of the week this week. Thanks to myev.com for setting our question of the week. What new car announcement does the most this year for EV publicity? What type of new car announcement, hasn't got to be a specific one, would do the most for EV publicity? Is it like a hypercar that does 250 miles an hour? Is it a go-anywhere truck? Or is it an affordable small family car? I'm not talking about the one that you would like to buy. I'm talking about when you see these announcements in the mainstream newspapers and websites, which one does the most for EV publicity? Let me know. Email me, hello@evnewsdaily.com. Leave a comment on the website, YouTube, Facebook, myev.com. Thank you very much to 178 patrons of the podcast for supporting this show financially. Many more support me, moral support and sending me encouragement. But in terms of the finances and paying the bills, patreon.com, patreon.com/evnewsdaily. Thank you to all of you. Well, there are 371 previous episodes of the podcast online for free, which I'm able to do the hosting thanks to Patreon. I'll leave them all online as an archive. You can learn, you can listen to those. If you're interested in a certain topic, I'd invite you to download any old ones you want to. If you subscribe for new ones, though, well, you can do that on your favourite podcast app or even YouTube and get them first and free and automatically. In the meantime, if you want to catch up on the socials, just search EV News Daily. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you tomorrow.